Hello, this is Tom with the Tractor Rescue Ranch. I'm going to be cutting hay here probably within a month, and I got a bunch of work I got to get done to the old swather. This is a new Holland 905, and I rescued this from the scrapyard. A neighbor of mine was wanting it hauled off to the scrapyard. It sat for years and years at his place, and I got it from him. Anyway, after sitting all that time, the motor was locked up, but I was able to pull the plugs out, put some ATF down the holes, let it sit, and that loosened it up. Another reason, the reason it was originally parked, this main belt here was blown, and that's when he parked it years ago, so I had to put a new main belt on it. I've used it for a couple of years now, had pretty good luck with it, so I'm in the process of firing it up, put some gas in it, fire it up, and pull it up to the shop here so I can get it greased and serviced. Gonna change the oils in it and get it going and ready for the haying season. I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm wanting to make sure I got it going in case I get busy with outside jobs, so that I've got it ready to go when it's time to get haying started. So anyway, just got a toggle switch that turns it on and off. Okay, I've got some of these springs that are broke and missing. I've got a few extras here. So the way I get to that, I got to pull this whole rod out. So there's 2 bolts there, 2 down on that end, and a couple here. And that whole rod will come out of there. And then I'll just have to pull it apart and put the new springs on there, the new teeth. Okay, I got this rod out, and in addition to these bolts here, one in the middle and one on either side, there's this bracket right there that had to come off. And now I am going to have to, if you'll notice, this side has got that on the end, and so here's my first broken one from that end. So everything from there down to here is going to have to come off and put a new one on and put them all back together. So they don't make this thing easy. Okay, it's a few days later, and I got all of those tines replaced. So we have a salvage yard over there in Idaho. It's probably 30 miles from where I live, and they've got a second-hand store in there. with a whole bunch of stuff like this, and they had these tines in there that I bought from them. But this was a real pain in the butt. Most of my bolts twisted off instead of coming loose. But what you have to do is take it off there and there and there and there, and then on this end, and then you have to pull the whole pipe out of there, and then you have to work from this end and pull all of them off until you get to the one that's broke, and then put them all back on. So anyway, I've got everything taken care of on that. I've been moving, well, there's a bunch of the broken springs. So from there, I've been moving on. Got this front end of it all greased, but I got back here to this drive U-joint that drives the whole front end, and that U-joint's going bad. So I'm in the process of pulling that apart, try to get that replaced so that it doesn't go bad in the middle of haying season. Here's a better view of that bad U-joint. Curious enough, that U-joint doesn't have a greaser in it, so I'm guessing it's probably the original U-joint from when it was new. Usually when you replace them, they come with greasers. So I'll get this thing knocked apart and see if I can find a new U-joint. Well, moving forward, I've been greasing it, checking everything out, and I got in here on the inside, and this opposite U-joint of the one that I pulled apart is going bad also. And what I'd said earlier about that other U-joint not having a greaser, it just had a hole. I couldn't see the hole because it was all gummed up, but it did originally have a greaser in it. So looks like I've got 2 U-joints to replace here. Okay, it is now several days later. Got everything together on this old swather. Everything fixed up and ready to go. So I am going to cut this east pasture. There's a lot of grass down in there, but it's mainly weeds, and I wanted to make sure I got the weeds cut before they went to seed. Hopefully these goats will stay out of my way. I may have to, if they make pests of themselves, I may have to go lock them in the barn. Watch out, Spock. Well, I got that done. This little pasture here is probably an acre, somewhere around there. But it ought to be all right. Them goats like the weeds, even when I cut and bale them up. A lot of the weeds anyway that them goats will eat. In fact, sometimes they prefer them over some grass hay. So we'll give it a few days to dry, and then we'll give us a chance to try out the hay baler, making sure it's going to work all right. Hopefully that grass will have a little advantage now with them weeds cut out of there, and I got them before they went to seed, trying to get control of the weed problem. I don't really care to use the herbicides. Try as much as possible to go poison free here on my place. So just trying to control these weeds the natural way. The goats are generally good at keeping the weeds down and letting the grass grow, but it just got out of hand. The weeds did. They couldn't stay up with it. So anyway, looks like we're about ready to start in the first week of July. I think I'm going to be cutting the hay, some really nice alfalfa hay that I'm doing on shares. So a couple more weeks and I will be into the haying season big time. It's one of my favorite times of year. I really love to cut that hay and put it up in bales and get it up in the barn. Thanks for watching.